Hello everyone, welcome back to Intuitive Writer. I am your podcast host, Camille Chan, and as I'm sitting down to record this, it is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, so I hope everybody out there has a lovely, wonderful, safe holiday. I've always been one of those people that has a really big Thanksgiving shindig, so we've definitely scaled it down this year. It's just going to be a very modest dinner with grandparents. So anyway, I hope everyone out there enjoys their holiday. Now, today on Intuitive Writer, we are going to spend some time digging into the concept of co-creation. We're going to talk about what it is, what it isn't. I'm going to give you concrete examples of how it can show up in writing and concrete examples of how the universe can share information with you. So I hope you are as excited as I am. Let's dig in. So first of all, let's talk about what co-creation is not. Co-creation is not dictation. So when you're working with different energies from the universe, they don't show up with a little punch list or a nice spreadsheet and hand everything to you like a roadmap. It is very much not that way. So now that you know what it's not, let's talk about what it is. Co-creation is a blending, it's a melding, it's a merging, and it's two things coming together. Those two things are the energies in the universe that want to be expressed through you, combined with your creativity. And the combination together is 100% unique. There is only one you, and you have your unique creative view of the world. And these energies that choose to come through you, they want to work with you because of your uniqueness and the result that they're going to get from your uniqueness. So that's what co-creation is. So just to repeat that, it is a blending of your creativity with the energies in the universe that want to be expressed through you. As a writer, there are so many different energies out there that are going to want to come through and work with you, and it's going to have a huge range. You're going to have characters that are going to come through. You're going to have setting. You're going to have ideas. You're going to have themes, and so many other amazing, wonderful things that want to find life on the page of your manuscript. So today, I'm going to share a story with you. It is the story of one of my novels. It's called Lost Coast. It is the third book in one of my zombie series. This particular series is called Undead Ultra. The word ultra is short for ultra marathon. So the story is about a community of ultra runners in the zombie apocalypse. And for anyone that's not familiar with the term of ultra runner, it is a fringe sport of people that like to run a really, 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 really long way on foot. So that's the premise of the series. And while I was working on this series, I had three really beautiful and three very different energies come through to co-create with me. So I'm going to go through each one of those with you and really dissect it down so we can look at what the energy was and how it came through. The first of these energies that showed up to co-create with me was the character of Ben. And I did talk about Ben in episode 3, so if you want a little more detail on him, you can pull that episode up. But just to give everyone a brief recap, he is a 40-something soldier in my book, and he enlisted when he was 18 years old, so he basically spent the last 30 years of his life fighting in one war or another for our country. Now, the energy of Ben was actually the spirit of a Vietnam vet who was tragically killed, like so many in Vietnam. He never made it home. And this is who came through and wanted to be part of the story. And I mentioned that I was able to see him, and he did communicate with me and share things with me. Now, I mentioned that co-creation isn't dictation. So the way he came through in the story was very subtle. He brought two very concrete things to the book. And the first thing he brought was this need for a love story, because he died so young and he never had a real love story in his life. So the first thing he brought was this need for a love story. The second thing he brought was his personality. I felt him very strongly. And what really came through was a block with language. He came through as somebody that really struggled to express himself and express his authentic feelings, and his default was cranky. So these are the two things that he brought to me to use. And so I folded those into my post-apocalypse zombie story, and what I ended up with was a veteran of many, many wars who falls in love with one of his fellow zombie survivors, and much of the arc of his story is around him overcoming this struggle to express himself to win the heart of this woman that he loves. So that gives you an example of how characters show up, that a lot of times what they're sharing with you are maybe challenges or different themes, and a lot of times they do share pieces of their personality. You are going to feel them and you are going to bring them in. So Ben was the first energy that came through in this book, The Lost Coast. The next energy that showed up to be a part of this book was actually the setting. So the name of the book, The Lost Coast, this is actually the setting of the book. The Lost Coast is a very remote, wild piece of wilderness in Northern California. And just to give you a brief background, it's most famously known as being one of the toughest trails probably on the western coast of the United States. Literally, people die every year on this trail. It's so dangerous. So I'm going to tell you the story of how this setting came to me and how I worked with it. So I was out one morning with one of my running buddies, and she mentioned to me that she was helping another one of her friends who was tackling a really hard trail, and what he wanted to do was set something known as the FKT. And in the running world, that is short for fastest known time. This trail is 58-ish miles, and so his goal was to break the record and become the fastest person to do this course, this 58 miles. And my friend was going along to meet him at various places on the trail and have water and food and, whatnot for him. And I had never heard of this trail before, California native, and I'd never heard of the Lost Coast before. So she began to tell me about this trail, and the more she told me, the more intrigued I became. So one of the reasons it's one of the most dangerous trails on the western coast of the United States is because there's a very large section that twice a day gets covered with the ocean during high tide. And this happens to be a very tumultuous part of the ocean. And what happens is if you get stuck in these areas, which are known as impassable zones, if you get stuck in these areas, you will likely get swept out to sea and drown. It's terrible. So it's a very treacherous stretch of beach. And even when you go there, there's huge signs everywhere warning people to stay at least 20 yards away from the surf, because it's also known for sneaker waves that will come out of nowhere, grab you, pull you into the ocean, and drown you. So unfortunately, every year there are people that misjudge the tide and they drown. So it's very dangerous. And there's the second portion of the trail. Once you leave the beach, you enter this remote wilderness area, and it's completely wild, and there's bears and all sorts of things. So they actually, if you do this trail, they make you take bear mace and bear canisters for your food. So I have to tell you, as a trail runner, all of my little spider senses were tingling. It just sounded like so exciting and so wild and so magical. And it was like gravity. As soon as she told me about it, I was just completely sucked in. So of course I started researching, and lo and behold, to my shock, this trail was actually not far away from the home base of the characters in the story of Undead Ultra. And I knew as soon as I realized where it was located in relation to where my characters had made their home, as soon as I saw that, I knew that this setting had to be in a book. It was too amazing and too wild and dangerous. And honestly, if you're a trail runner, like, this is your thing. Like, of course you have to try this, and you want to be a part of this magical wilderness. So of course I had to bring it in. And on the surface, it might just seem like random coincidence that my friend happened to mention it to me. But here's the thing. When you're working with the universe, there is no such thing as random coincidence. Everything is perfectly timed. I mean, the fact that she happened to bring it up when I was getting ready to work on the third book in the series, the fact that it was located so close to where my characters had made their home, and just the very personality of the trail itself and what it could bring to a zombie adventure. I mean, I have no doubt that this was the universe coming to me and saying, hey, look, this setting, like, it really wants to be a part of your story. So that was how the Lost Coast came into the book. And it's really cool. It's a really amazing place. And it was so fun to weave it into the setting and make it part of their adventure. The third energy to come into the story was a very specific nature story. So you have to bear with me because it's a little bit long and convoluted, but I promise you the payoff is super cool. So when I knew that I was going to be incorporating the Lost Coast into the book, I rounded up one of my very adventurous runner friends and said, hey, let's go check out some of the Lost Coast because I'm writing about it and I'd really love to bring in some of the real life details of the place. So she was totally game. We went out, we did a really long day, and I don't know, I think we did like maybe 25 miles of the trail, and we explored the ocean section, the impassable zone, and then also the trail section. And I don't know if you guys have ever experienced, but sometimes when you go places that are really magical or wonderful, they soak into your soul. So when you leave, you can still feel that place inside you. And that's how the Lost Coast was for me. So when I went home, I could still feel how wild and amazing and beautiful and pristine this place was. And it was a night or two after going to the Lost Coast, I woke up in the middle of the night with a very clear message from my dreams, because a lot of times the universe will speak to me in my dreams. And the message was, find the white trees. And I was almost positive that this had to do with the Lost Coast, just because I had just been, communing with this magical place. And so immediately I start researching. I start looking on the internet, combing everything I could find about the Lost Coast, trying to find information on white trees of the Lost Coast. And I didn't find a thing. I didn't find a single thing. But in the search, I discovered an amazing magical place known as the Candelabra Grove. Now, I think most people know that California is the home of redwoods, ancient, giant, beautiful, amazing redwoods. And the reason that they were almost logged to extinction is because they're a hardwood and they grow incredibly straight. So they're very easy to mill and they're very durable. They last forever when you build things out of redwood. So the Candelabra Grove is very special. It was spared the harvest when people came through and were just clear cutting things. And the reason that the Candelabra Grove was spared is because of its very close proximity to the Lost Coast and to the big storms and the wind that would come in from the ocean. And what happened over many, many hundreds of years is the storms would come in and they would snap the top of the redwood tree off. And when the crown was snapped off, the tree would put up a new crown. And another storm would come and that crown would get snapped off. And then the tree would put up yet another crown. So over hundreds of years, what happens is you have a very wide base and the redwood puts up these dozens of crowns that come up, and it's very wide and it actually looks like a giant candelabra. And they're stunning and amazing and magical. And they are at the very southern end of the Lost Coast. So when I was exploring the Lost Coast with my friend, we weren't anywhere near there. We were in a completely different section, so I completely missed seeing them. And this message of look for the white tree, it led me to these trees, and when I found out they were at the end of the Lost Coast, I knew they had to be in the book. They were just too magical and too beautiful and too unique. They absolutely had to be included. And when I was working on this section with them, they showed up. I could see them in my office, and they had a message that they wanted to include in the book. So I'm going to read you that message because I know you guys are all dying to hear it, what the trees have to say. Okay, here we go. Message from the trees. In the death and madness of the apocalypse, we've found a tiny slice of magic. Standing beneath the ancient grove gives me hope. It's a reminder that not everything in the world has been rendered with rot and ruin. It's possible to live, survive, and thrive. If these trees survive the logging massacre and everything else that has come and gone over the last 500 years, we puny humans have a shot at making it too. We have a shot at turning into something beautiful someday. So that's the message from the trees. And this comes at the very end of the book. So when the characters make it to the Candelabra Grove, the story ends, but the story of the Lost Coast doesn't end. And this is the best part. And just reflecting on that message that I just read to you, it's so apropos, isn't it, to what's going on today with COVID. I mean, we're in our own apocalypse now, in a very unexpected sort of way. There's no zombies, but it's still an apocalypse of its own. And like I said, timing of the universe is divine, and there are no accidents. So I'm sure I'm reading all of this to you guys for a reason. Okay, so here's the best part of this story about these beautiful candelabra nature spirits. So I was determined to actually stand beneath one of these candelabra trees myself, because I really was bummed out that I'd missed it the first time I went to the Lost Coast. So again, I rounded up some crazy running friends and said, okay, let's go find these candelabra trees and let's go stand beneath them and go on a run. And I have to tell you, getting to these trees, it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart, and you better have a good car because you have to go out this very long, windy road, about wide enough for one car, and there's a turnoff from this highway onto a gravel road that leads to the trees, and it's marked with a giant penis that's spray painted into the middle of the road. It's about the size of a VW bug. So that's your marker. And then when you turn on to this gravel road, there's huge signs everywhere letting you know that about 6 months out of the year, the road is washed out from the rains. So you better have a good four-wheel drive, and you're in the middle of nowhere with no cell service. So drive at your own risk. So yeah, I had a couple of friends that they didn't know about the roads. So they came along with me. I'm good at getting people to come along on adventures with me. So anyway, we drive and we drive and we drive and we drive down this road. And all of a sudden, we drive out into this enormous red alder forest. And I know they're called red alders, but if you've ever seen one, they're actually white. They almost look like, the trunks almost look like birch trees. They're that kind of white. And the road ended in this enormous forest of these gorgeous red alders, and the trunks were massive. You could tell that the trees had been around there for a really long time. And the entrance to the Candelabra Grove was right inside of this forest of red alders. And when I talked to one of my friends who's a plant expert, she was telling me that red alders are precursors to redwoods. So in areas where redwood trees are, you'll often have red alder trees show up first, and then over the years, as the redwoods get bigger and gain strength, they'll actually move in and take over that land, and the red alders will move on. So here I was in this forest of white trees at the entrance to the Candelabra Grove, and I realized oh my gosh, the trees sent me directions because I had to get to the white trees to get to the candelabra grove. But sometimes when spirit talks to you, it's not in straight lines and it doesn't always make sense. And it was months before all of this came together, but I had written down this message of find the white trees. And of course, it led me down this rabbit hole of researching plants on the Lost Coast and finding these candelabra trees. So the message led me where I needed to go, both on the internet and in real life. It actually took me to the trees. So I don't know. I love that story, and the Candelabra Grove it's so amazing. It's such a beautiful, magical place. So if you ever are feeling adventurous, and you want to go to the Candelabra Grove, send me a message and I'll help you find it. So that is the story of the Lost Coast and the three main energies that showed up to be a part of that particular book. There were others, of course, but these were the three main ones, and they made the biggest footprint on the book. So just to reiterate the definition of co-creation, co-creation are the energies that want to find expression through your writing, melding and blending with your natural creativity. That's what co-creation is, and that's why it's so special, because it's so unique to you and it's so unique to these energies that choose you. And last night when I was talking to my guides, they shared a really beautiful message about co-creation, and I'm going to share that with all of you now. So this message came through last night when I was, this is my cat. Apparently he wants to be part of the episode. Excuse me. This message came through last night when I was meditating, and I was sitting with some of my characters, and I could actually feel them like beating in my chest. And there are a couple of them there. So it was a really neat feeling. But this is the message that came through from my guides, and they wanted to make sure that I shared it with you guys. So here it is. You feel all the characters beat inside you. They are a part of your journey. You are a part of their journey. All are on a journey of expansion and healing. There are no accidents, and this relationship is symbiotic. So this is what my guides had to say on co-creation, so I am sharing that with all of you. So I hope that you have enjoyed learning about co-creation, and I just wanted to briefly recap the three different types of energies that we discussed and the three different methods that they came through the universe. So the first was character. That was Ben, and he showed himself to me and had communications with me. And I could very much feel him in me when I wrote, so I was able to really channel through his personality and his struggle. We also had the setting of the Lost Coast, and that came to me through perfect coincidence, perfectly arranged by the universe, because this beautiful place wanted to be part of the story. And then the last was the nature spirit, where I got the message in a dream and I acted on it and had this amazing discovery, both on the internet for my book and then also in real life when I found the red alder forest. So I hope this gives you some context as you build your intuition and start consciously connecting with these energies that want to work with you. I hope this gives you some context of how it can show up in your life as you're writing. I have some final thoughts on co-creation that I want to leave you with today at the end of this episode. And to be honest, I thought I was finished with this episode, and I got a big poke last night to share this. So I'm just adding this little addendum here. Your creativity combined with the energies that want to work with you, they create a singular and unique combination that doesn't exist anywhere else in this universe of infinite possibilities. So I just want you to take a moment and digest that, how unique you are and how special it is that these energies want to work with you And they've chosen you because there's nobody else anywhere that can do exactly what you do. You are so special, and your writing is so special, whatever its purpose is, whatever it serves in your life and the life of others. It's so special. So these are just some parting words for you to take to heart. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you have any writing friends that you think would enjoy learning about intuitive writing, I ask that you please help me spread the word. I have definitely been tapped on the shoulder and called by the universe to share this writing technique with writers all over the world, and I'm just starting out, so I would appreciate anything that you can do to help me spread the word and get this podcast out there. And please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm on YouTube and I'm on all major podcast platforms. If you feel inclined to leave a review, I would very much appreciate it. That would help my standings in the browsers as you start to get reviews. So all of that would help me very much. And if you have any questions about the episode, or you want to share any of your experiences, you can find me on Instagram at Write with Intuition. Oh, and I did mention that I'm in the process of creating a course on how to become an intuitive writer. And I've recorded 4 modules and a meditation. So now I'm neck deep in setting up a website, which is equal parts fun and equal parts, oh my God, I feel like that exploding head emoji. So it kind of vacillates between the two. But if you would like to stay updated as to when the course is going to be available, and if you'd like a coupon, you can sign up for my newsletter, and I will definitely keep you in the loop as it progresses. And the link to the newsletter is in the show notes. So that's all I have for today. I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I will talk to everybody next week. Bye.